verse 17 to 22. So nuno pekka who what's Proverbs? Proverbs. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it 半路呀？别晒乎半路冲哦向该个向中该个啊。半路冲该个向 I mean yeah 冲该个向该 yeah 17 22. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 17 to 22. Yeah. 半路冲狗香的怎样该狗香中该狗那个啊 OK 你估年咪讲的只嘛年梦特别嘛他们记特别然后台湾剧 So I'll read in English first. So Proverbs 17. Oh, I'm sorry. 多几了？半路冲狗香该能够就那个啊 Sorry. Yeah, 20 to 22. So it says, one whose heart is corrupt does not prosper. One whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. To have a fool for a child brings grief. There's no joy for the parent of a godless fool. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. I'll read it one more time and then I can read. One whose heart is corrupt does not prosper. One whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. To have a fool for a child brings grief. There is no joy for the parent of a godless fool. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Okay? That check out that 半路冲狗香该能够就那个。
能够就能够啊。
Yeah.
Okay. 半路冲狗香啊该能够呢就能够啊。ตัวมัวลุเชียสาเพเทียให้ลุชิยงยิ่งจีมัวอย่ายงตอนนี้ลุเน่งจัวยาเตาเก๋ปวดจัวซึเล่งจีว่ามัวตุ๊ตุ๊จัวจีมัวเก๋เจียเชียดัจีลีจัวมัวเก๋ยัวเชียเทียตูเชียซึเก๋ยงเชียว่าเขาชั่วกว่ามัวจัวโตก็ลุเจ๊kiến cháu xe và cháu có luôn nâng cháu luôn đi thằng cái đừng có nó
Yeah. Alright, thanks Dad. Yeah, thế là hà biết bao giờ Christmas thì từ là bênนู้นใช่ไหมthì từ là thế là bao hà giờ tôi nên chỉ dùng lên nó là thằng Christmas từ đó chẳng bao hà dùng hay à thì bây hà là nhẹ từ họ cái kind of the cheer of Christmas, right? The hope of Christmas, the cheer of Christmas. When Christmas comes around, most people, right, even those who aren't necessarily good people, seem to be a little nicer, better, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about just why being merry is good. But the first two verses here, it talks about one whose heart is corrupt does not prosper, and one whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. So we know one of the first things about Christmas is normally people say nice things to each other, right? Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. These kinds of things. And it's crazy because even godless people who don't believe in God, they understand, right? That there's good and bad, that there's bad words and good words, right? And so scripture says, one whose heart is corrupt or whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. We know that, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so sorry, I have to return this text real quick, sorry. Yeah, so we know that during this Christmas season, being merry or being cheerful, part of that is words, right? Using words. And then the second verse here says, to have a fool for a child brings grief. There's no joy for a parent of a godless fool. So it sounds very harsh, actually, right? To call someone a fool. But yet here, it's talking about parenting. So another aspect of joy or being merry or happy comes from parents being proud of the kids, right? So we can also see that scripture also acknowledges that parents find joy in their kids. So as Christmas is coming, right, we're buying gifts for our kids and our loved ones and whatnot. And yet it says if our kid is one who is not wise or does not heed our words, right, one who does not listen to us, it actually brings grief. And I'm sure, ones who are moms could probably feel that on a more personal level, right? When your kids don't listen to you or don't take your advice, it actually makes you sad, right? A little bit, that they wouldn't consider that you care about them, and that's why you tell them to do or not do things. So we know that it is, again, as Christmas is coming, parents are proud of their kids, and yet the kids can also bring grief to their parent. So during this holiday season, it's also sad to think that even though this is one of the most merriest time of the year, for other people, it's actually not. Like, some people don't get together. Some families don't get together during Christmas, because mom and dad, or mom and the kids, or dad and the kids don't get along. So we're blessed that we do as a family. And then the last verse says, a cheerful heart is good medicine, right? But a crushed spirit dries up the bones. So being happy is just good for you, right? Like, being positive is just naturally good for you. I mean, the Bible is pretty straight up. But a crushed spirit dries up the bones, which means, like, a crushed spirit dries up the bone, which means, like, you are, by worrying a lot or taking in negativity instead of positivity, like, it hurts to the soul, right? To the bones. That's like to the core of who you are as a person. So scripture actually says, like, it's good to just be happy, man. Like, just be happy. And it's crazy because the world, in a sense, waits until Christmas, right, to kind of be happy. And yeah, scripture says, just be happy. Like, it doesn't matter, right? It's just good for you. So during this time of Christmas, just want to remind us that we shouldn't only wait for this time of year to want to be with family, or to want to be happy, or to want to connect, right? Scripture says that we should be happy all the time. And when I say happy, it says cheerful, right? So maybe there's a difference between cheerful and happiness, but I guess being cheerful is like choosing to be cheerful, even though you might not necessarily feel it. But so that's the gist of these three verses, really how I kind of wanted to tie it into this season, because we're now in the season of hope and being merry. So I'm going to translate this into Hmong real quick. So bên nhà bé cái nó để bé bao ta Christmas yêu chú này là bên nuôi sẽ chú nó để bé luôn nhện ở bên cái lúc khác chú cái dòng sa cho khỏi dòng này cứ tu dòng ha tu phê lo ta Christmas yêu chú cái dòng này cho phê lo yên dòng ha ya để bé bao là cái dòng mà dòng chẳng ya bên cái nó này tu ta tu cái lúc sa go ahead and read verse 22 ha ya
yeah
cái những
cái ta tua mua lúc xưa xã phê thiên hay lúc chỉ rong nhưng chỉ mua ý ya rong ở trong nữ nhưng chỉ mua ý ya rong trong nữ lúc này rồi giờ tao kể bỏ chua sức tua cứ mua lúc xưa sáng phê ha lúc chỉ rong nhưng chỉ mua ý ya rong trong nữ lúc này rồi giờ mua kể bỏ chua sức.
Yeah, thank you. So la vang ku ta tu ki chi mo tu ki ha lu chi yong lai la ya la mo lu sha ki chi yong no te yo mo trouble na ya lu mi ka ya ki chi mo sha yong la ha lu chi yong ma ke phe la ke bon jo yo jiao po then kai ning go yi ni thang zu ya ta yu itu na ya ta yu ile na le zi yu mo itu tu la tung sai ku lu mo ta tuo de chi lu mi ka no te ya fu de ya ta ne ki chi bao tang la so zi chi sang bao kho jong na ya te pe mo lu tai ni zai min ji ja le chi ta tuo chi bao chi se chi bao de chi jing sai ha jing sang so zi o de yang ki chi jong la chi ya na ya để vang cô ta yêu mỗi tụi mình nhớ lên nó mà yêu là yêu là bao hay yêu ta chúng ta bây giờ nó mà yêu khó xé hay nhá để là yêu mỗi tụi mình nhớ lên nó mà chạy yêu tu sa hay nhá yêu mỗi tụi mình nhớ cái chuyện nó lưu là sao chỉ lưu là chỉ sáng lưu là sao chỉ ô cái phe này mà yêu tu sa hay cho tụi lên nào lên gì họ đừng cái này có hả ta đã是tụi cứ mỗi lúc sa cứ trong sa mà你用来你我到错那样nếu tao chua cho tôi này cái món sáng rong để biết bao giờ Christmas yêu từ nữa để cho nên sẽ từ món sáng rong phèn chống giờ chỉ rong là cú cha món sáng rong là ha đã chỉ vang là cú người Hà Nội người tao xài ta biết tao của từ Christmas biết mà rong sáng này người ta chua nước này à để biết nhện lên nó tên nhện chua nước yêu chủ rong sáng à yêu chủ một cái rong sáng sao chỉ sáng yêu lưỡi ta yêu giờ thì tôi này cáiจะ要这样个就让就有来了，有啥子上下达有整啥子上了，有整啥子下就有看到只要侬那就让来了，古人古晒下达侬那古让啥呢？古还没不到呀。个只要就让来了，有家来下就有看到，但是古人有晒过，侬那还侬让，แต่ว่า古大叫佢么你啥？要คือมอลูชาร้องแล้ว cheerful เล่นในการอะไรได้ you can read หรือมองตัวได้หนึ่งก็
ngay này có này ta read món này á ngay này có ta cái trong sa ô hậu chua cô một chùa tôi có lúc chế cái số sa ô tôi có lúc nên tròn đun đi
thank you cái trong sa
ô cô một chùa tôi có lúc chế cái trong sa ô cô một chùa tôi có lúc chế
chỉ có tao biết thẳng chua này thanks that tao biết thẳng chua của chị sinh nhớ mà yêu nhiên bảo tại养chua thì hay là bằng养để cho này那是忘了姑没养错，让这别哈呀，那个都给路啥让嘛让来养错呀，都给路啥去让嘛让来有古啥还有鸟去让来这些只么去陪，就有来有陪鸟让来给只么搞好了呀，嘛忘了姑ta都给让来挪嘛姑么才能米搞这种梦，那个ta your spirit dries up the bones， 所以taก็ตัวจุบลีหมอก็จะปัดทางกูขอตังนะอย่ากูไม่ใช่มีการไม่ใช่อีลูจะอีลูนะมีการของใครกูพามีการเป็นหาแล้วเหรออย่าคือไม่รู้อย่าคือตัวจุบลีพอชอบตังแล้วนะแต่นึกถึงจุบลีอยู่มันอย่าปัดทางกูขอตังนะแต่ใช้ต่อแต่อยู่แต่ตัวนึงคือจิมอลูชาจงละจิมอลูชา像啥了的有鸟给都啥哈工作，在要起码就有来了有朋友那个鸟了起码搞好鸟了讲那就用来呀，那喜欢个但至少加个顿就不离搞了好那样，至少加个顿就不离就一样，至少加个绿叫绿三个。chỉ sao mà cái đường chụp kia một là họ này, yêu chụp bao hả ta là bé tiêu chọn chơi lại là để yêu, giờ yêu tu sát giờ lấy trang này là của yêu mua yêu sát trong sát, để bé bao giờ Christmas yêu tu nó để cho cái chuyện gì mà chỉ tu Bắc Kinh ôn nó này ya, cho cái chuyện gì mà chỉ này ya, bất kỳ cái hạt bao ta Christmas yêu tu mà yêu chủ ôi thì cái này yêu trong sát ya, để họ này nó lưu hà ta bé chọn chơi mà bé hay ya yêu chủ ya. hay là有主用沙，所以他大用沙，但万一是路到特别差，但好听哦，用沙嘛，用沙个有路能用真係呀。他 Christmas 有做孬，佢做下俾路孬，路出俾要下但，要下但有啲戰爭嘛，就啲包嘅用沙，不啲使到嘅用沙啦呀，嘛俾戰爭，出俾要俾係呀，用沙做 Christmas 佢有做，嚇bé khó khăn bé cho mình nhỏ của dây là hà xin lưu hà dây bảo văn chữ của bố dây nông lưu này để của mua khó khăn mình chỉ lên nó xí ra nó chỉ là cả ta của khó khănอย่าง差但是就叫bé lưu sai hà ta giờ cho tôi này cái chỉ văn chữ tư bảo 我给种啥，那在个别见证，别还呀，别嘛，正要叫还呀给约住，种啥就能给我去补助别，对呀，古么卡了那水，你一去么见到那是，呀，没么你呀没上下做了下那了下，你呀么那了别躺去，倒下去呀。